One of the things in the City of Ballarat's historical collection that really opens the window on what Ballarat was like in the very early days is this fabulous big book called the Lithograph book. And it came from the town of Ballarat East when Ballarat was divided into two separate parts. And it is full of maps from 1857 to the 1860s. And these are very revealing as to the very early days of the attempts to make sense out of the chaos of the gold rush as it occurred from 1851. And if you go through this book, it has a vast array of information that is useful to us today to try and understand what was going on just after the peak of the gold rush. So we've got here, for instance, a map of Eureka Street in 1859, and that gives you some amazing idea of what a higgledy-piggledy mess the township had been. And then the surveyors came along and they were actually, on behalf of the council, trying to make sense out of this. And so nice straight roads and efforts to create parcels of land that could be sold for housing or for businesses were being put together. So I think here we've got a really superb encapsulation of that early activity. The map over here, this is something which relates particularly to the Eureka Stockade rebellion story, and fantastic plan here which shows the exact location of the Eureka Hotel. This was the hotel that was burnt down in the days leading up to the stockade, and you've got here a precise map of the location of the building, what size and shape it was, and that sort of information is very, very useful and just helps us to tell the story a bit more in depth. Other things that you can find in here, Main Road in Ballarat was really the main thoroughfare for the gold rush activity, and here you've got amazing detail of what in part was called Clint Road. The road was so muddy that potholes were big enough to consume a whole carriage. And so as an effort on the part of the council to prevent those sort of things from happening, they actually laid large stretches of timber along the road to keep the vehicles that were there from sinking down to their axles or worse in the mud. But again, you can see with the maps of Main Road that are in this book, the efforts to sort order out of chaos. And you can even see some of the really famous buildings in here, like the Victoria Hotel, the Montezuma, and other hotels. At one stage in the 1860s, Ballarat had something like 450 hotels. Now, can you imagine? They were probably the only place you could go to where you could get a safe drink, because you wouldn't particularly want to drink the water in Ballarat at that time. And therefore, for every person in town, I think for every 100 people, there was a pub. So that's what you did in the evening. It's where you went to get something reasonably safe to drink and also drown your sorrows when you didn't find any gold. So this book really is sensational for giving you that kind of information. How did I go?